The internet is officially on fire today. And I am not even joking because the streets are screaming that Harvey just completely atomized Damson Idris in public. We all thought their sudden 2026 split was just another classic case of two beautiful, high-fashion celebrities mutually deciding to focus on their individual paths. But baby, the masks are coming off and the real truth is so much messier than anyone could have ever predicted. Imagine waking up to find out that the ultimate IT girl of our generation is allegedly in her private group chat straight up laughing at her ex-man for being exposed as entirely too soft, too fluid, and quite frankly a little too feminine for the cameras. Are we actually witnessing the dramatic collapse of what everyone whispered was just a multi-million-dollar PR contract? Or did Damson get a little too comfortable walking that Paris Fashion Week runway and completely forget how to play the alpha male role Lori's brand desperately demands? Grab your drinks and sit down because if these leaked inner circle reactions are real, Lori didn't just break his heart, she completely devalued his entire heartthrob image in front of the whole world. Let's face it, we need to talk about exactly who we are dealing with here because Harvey does not just date people, she curates them. For years, she has been the undisputed heavyweight champion of high-profile relationship recycling, moving from toxic hip-hop royalty to Hollywood A-listers without ever breaking a sweat or smudging her lip gloss. But when she linked up with Damson Idris, the internet immediately smelled something clinical. Remember, she had just come off that incredibly polished, heavily photographed relationship with Michael B. Jordan, and before that, she was practically the muse for Future's entire brand of unhinged toxic masculinity. The streets were saying that her team desperately needed a palate cleanser, a total rebrand to soften her image and make her look safe, stable, and sophisticated. Enter Damson Idris, a classically trained British actor, who literally built his entire reputation on playing a cold-blooded, calculating kingpin in Snowfall. On paper, it was a match made in Hollywood heaven, but behind the scenes, the investigative findings are painting a completely different picture. Industry insiders are now leaking reports that this entire relationship was less about authentic chemistry and more about a high-stakes, mutual asset protection program. You see, Damson was dealing with his own quiet storm of whispers regarding his personal life, his hyper-polished mannerisms, and his elite fashion circles that heavily lean into gender fluidity. In the brutal world of celebrity crisis management, pairing a rising male star facing these specific whispers with the most desirable hyper-feminine IT girl in the industry is the oldest distraction strategy in the book. It forces the public to view him as the ultimate ladies' man, regardless of what his actual body language is screaming. But the cracks in this flawless PR armor didn't just appear, they shattered during their highly publicized 2026 reunion. After supposedly splitting in late 2023, they magically popped back up on our timelines in early 2026, putting on an absolute clinic in public displays of affection during Paris Fashion Week. We all saw that dramatic cinematic balcony kiss that looked like it was directed by a Hollywood studio, but the internet began analyzing the footage frame by frame, and that is when the narrative completely flipped. People weren't looking at the romance anymore, they were looking at the sheer lack of traditional alpha energy. The public reaction was swift and absolutely brutal, with thousands of threads popping up overnight pointing out every single detail of Damson's demeanor. When you look at the elite fashion circles he has been running with lately, from Prada to Tommy Hilfiger, his aesthetic has transitioned from rugged leading man to hyper-refined, delicate, and fluid. The streets started noticing that during his paparazzi walks through London and Milan, he wasn't taking up space or walking with that heavy set, aggressive stance you would expect from someone who played Franklin Saint. Instead, he was sporting a very rhythmic, hip-heavy stride that looked more suited for a high-fashion runway than a casual stroll. Combine that with his viral, ultra-relaxed hand placements, where he constantly brings his hands to his face or chest whenever he laughs or gets embarrassed, and the internet had all the fuel it needed to reignite the allegations. The whispers turned into a roar claiming that Damson was simply acting a part, and doing a very poor job of hiding his true soft essence from the public eye. And that brings us directly into the hidden archives of Damson's public history that people are suddenly digging up to prove that this soft, fluid energy wasn't a mistake. It is his literal baseline. The internet has a terrifyingly long memory, and users immediately started recirculating that infamous, deeply uncomfortable interview where Damson openly discussed his intensely close friendship with Tyler, the creator. Now we all know Tyler is celebrated for being experimentally honest, unapologetically fluid, and completely chaotic in his music and public persona. But during this specific interview, Damson dropped a bomb that everyone laughed off at the time, but is now being used as primary evidence in the court of public opinion. He revealed that Tyler literally goes around introducing him to high-profile industry executives and casually telling them that he and Damson take bubble baths together. While Damson immediately tried to laugh it off on camera, waving his hands and screaming that it was just Tyler being crazy, the internet is now looking back at that moment with a completely different lens. People are asking why a leading Hollywood heartthrob is so thoroughly embedded and comfortable in spaces that celebrate total social and sexual fluidity, unless he himself resonates with that exact same energy. The public commentary under these resurfaced clips is pure chaos, with fans pointing out that his comfort levels around that specific circle scream a completely different lifestyle than the one his PR team is selling. Anonymous sources close to the production of his recent projects are even alleging that his behavior on set has drastically shifted over the last 2 years, noting that he spends an exorbitant amount of time obsessing over his skincare routines, his tailored aesthetic, and demanding hyper-specific wardrobe adjustments that align more with avant-garde fashion than traditional masculine styling. The reports claim he was spotted multiple times behind the scenes constantly adjusting his own outfits, and then turning around to meticulously check Lori's garments during public appearances, looking less like the protective boyfriend and more like a stylist getting a debutante ready for a ball. The internet clowned him mercilessly for this, saying his energy was giving pure best friend vibes rather than the dominant, masculine force that Lori Harvey typically requires to keep her interested. But the absolute breaking point, the one thing that truly set this current wildfire ablaze, was the recent leak of a viral post claiming Lori officially ended the 2026 contract because Damson was just too nice. In the hyper-toxic world of celebrity gossip, the phrase too nice is never a compliment. It is the ultimate corporate code word for a total lack of aggressive, alpha male authority. The streets immediately interpreted this leak as a direct hit to Damson's reputation, suggesting that he lacked the raw masculine edge to keep up with Lori's demanding lifestyle. Anonymous insiders from Lori's camp are now claiming that behind closed doors, her inner circle has been ruthlessly mocking this exact narrative, making it known that the chemistry during their 2026 reunion was completely fabricated for the media. The rumors suggest that Lori herself became increasingly frustrated with how the public began viewing their dynamic, especially when people pointed out the bizarre body language in their couple photos. Traditionally, in the world of celebrity imagery, the expectation is for the woman to lean into the man, projecting a sense of security and protection. But in almost every single unedited paparazzi shot from Paris, it was Damson who was leaning his head tightly against Lori, tilting his face upwards, and looking up at her with an expression that the internet labeled as submissive and soft. Social media went into a complete frenzy, analyzing these photos and concluding that the entire relationship was upside down, with Lori acting as the anchor and Damson giving off the delicate, fragile energy. This public perception reportedly created a massive internal crisis for Lori's brand, because she has spent years cultivating an image as a woman who only tames the wildest, most untouchable men in the industry. To be seen with a man who is being openly clowned for walking with a rhythmic hip stride and exhibiting delicate hand gestures was a massive blow to her social currency, and the fallout was already brewing before the cameras even stopped rolling in Paris. If you thought the public dissection of their red carpet body language was intense, the situation behind closed doors just descended into absolute, unadulterated madness. The Real investigation begins when you look at how the entire infrastructure of this relationship crumbled in real time over the course of just a few weeks. The streets were completely blinded by that massive, heavily stylized Paris Fashion Week reunion, where the two were captured engaging in a heavy, highly theatrical balcony kiss that practically screamed artificial production. But while the average fan was swooning over what looked like a reconciled romance, the deeper investigative findings show that the contract was already expiring, and the corporate tension between their PR teams was hitting an all-time high. The narrative shifted instantly from a romantic reconciliation to a full-blown celebrity crisis, when reports leaked that Lori Harvey's inner circle had completely turned on Damson, weaponizing his high-fashion appearances to thoroughly devalue his image as a dominant Hollywood leading man. The public reaction exploded into total chaos when social media sleuths noticed that Lori's digital behavior began telling a completely different story than the romantic images being pushed by the media. Almost overnight, Lori officially hit the unfollow button on Damson and did something even more drastic. She completely scrubbed her entire Instagram grid of every single piece of evidence regarding their 2026 reunion. The cinematic photos from France, the coordinated outfits, the shared luxury vacations, everything was entirely deleted, leaving her profile looking as if Damson Idris had never existed in her universe. This sudden digital erasure sent shockwaves through the gossip community, prompting an intense look into what actually triggered the sudden fallout. According to highly placed industry insiders, the catalyst for this immediate, aggressive scrubbing was none other than Damson being caught completely red-handed in Los Angeles with 21-year-old TikTok influencer and model Avari Lanai. The investigative details surrounding this sighting are wild. Damson was spotted leaving a high-end Hollywood restaurant looking incredibly friendly and cozy with the rising fitness model, who also happens to be the daughter of a former NFL player and a brand muse for some of the biggest names in the industry. The two were photographed driving away together in Damson's luxury supercar, looking entirely unbothered by the fact that he was supposed to be in a committed, high-profile relationship with the most famous IT girl in the world. To make matters worse, Avari Lanai didn't exactly play it low-key on social media. She immediately started following several of Damson's closest business associates and friends, and even posted a highly cryptic story with a caption reading "New season, new energy," which the entire internet immediately interpreted as a direct, disrespectful nod to her new connection with the Formula One movie star. This blatant public disrespect reportedly pushed Lori Harvey completely over the edge, causing her ego to take a massive public hit. The timeline shows that just days after the photos of Damson and Avari went viral, Lori decided to launch a direct counterattack to reclaim her narrative. She took to her Instagram stories, filming a video directly from her bed, while wearing a treatment face mask, delivering a stinging, hyper-aggressive message directly aimed at the media outlets and blogs covering her personal life. She explicitly stated that she hoped everyone had so much fun creating false narratives about her for clickbait, because she was about to have so much fun suing every single one of them. While she tried to position her anger around the concept of fake news, the internet laughed out loud at the irony, with users pointing out that she was threatening legal action over a situation that had literally been captured in 4K by paparazzi cameras in the middle of Los Angeles. But this is exactly where the true, calculated brilliance of Lori's revenge strategy comes into play. Since she couldn't legally stop the public from seeing Damson with another woman, her camp allegedly decided to change the conversation entirely by letting the most damaging rumors about Damson's masculinity run completely wild. Investigative sources allege that Lori's inner circle became the primary engine fueling the narrative that Damson was simply too soft, too fluid, and too feminine to maintain a relationship with a woman of her caliber. By letting the street gossip focus on his rhythmic, hip-heavy paparazzi strides, his delicate hand placements at the Prada and Tommy Hilfiger fashion shows, and the infamous viral claim that he was dumped for being too nice, Lori successfully shifted the public perception. Instead of looking like a woman who was abandoned for a younger TikTok influencer, she made it look like she simply had to discard a partner who completely lacked traditional alpha energy. This corporate smear tactic is incredibly effective in Hollywood, because Damson Idris is currently at a critical junction in his professional career. He has transitioned from his breakout role as a ruthless street kingpin to starring in massive, multi-million-dollar blockbuster projects like the Formula One racing film, where his entire brand relies on him being viewed as a top-tier, international masculine heartthrob. When a public figure in that specific position is suddenly hit with thousands of viral threads claiming his real-life energy is deeply submissive, fluid, and giving pure best friend vibes, it completely jeopardizes his commercial viability. The streets are saying that Lori knew exactly where to strike, and by weaponizing the internet's natural tendency to clown men who exhibit soft, non-traditional mannerisms, she completely neutralized his attempt to show off his new connection with Avari. The public backlash under this entire scandal has divided the internet into two incredibly hostile camps, creating a massive cultural debate that is completely dominating the entertainment landscape. On one hand, you have the hypercritical social media commentary treating the investigative leaks as absolute facts. People are digging through old red carpet footage, pointing out every single instance where Damson carried Lori's luxury bags, every time he stood on his tiptoes to match her height, and every moment he leaned his head against her shoulder during photos. These critics are treating his high-fashion lifestyle, his frequent trips to Milan and London fashion weeks, and his avant-garde styling choices as definitive proof that his entire public persona as a rugged leading man is an absolute fabrication. They are aggressively mocking his demeanor, claiming that his comfort level in spaces that celebrate gender fluidity proves that his relationship with Lori was nothing more than a calculated, multi-year cover story designed to protect his career from deeper scrutiny. But on the flip side, a powerful wave of defenders is stepping up to challenge this toxic narrative, arguing that the backlash against Damson is a sad reflection of how backward the internet truly is when it comes to modern masculinity. These defenders are pointing out the hypocrisy of a culture that constantly complains about toxic, emotionally unavailable men, but then immediately turns around and clowns a successful, secure man the moment he exhibits gentle, vulnerable, or highly expressive energy. They are reminding everyone that Damson is a classically trained actor and a global brand ambassador for elite fashion houses, an environment where fluid energy, artistic expression, and meticulous attention to aesthetic detail are not weaknesses. They are the literal markers of an evolved, sophisticated professional. They argue that his secure nature, his willingness to show public affection, and his refusal to put on a fake aggressive tough guy act actually show immense strength and confidence. The geopolitical warfare of Hollywood PR has officially entered its most toxic phase, because this is no longer just about who unfollowed whom on Instagram. What we are witnessing right now is a masterclass in reputation destruction where billions of corporate dollars and top-tier studio investments are hanging in the balance. You have to realize that Damson Idris is not just an actor looking for his next gig anymore. He is the co-lead of a massive multi-million-dollar Formula One blockbuster project alongside Brad Pitt, a movie that relies entirely on his ability to project a hyper-masculine, rugged, elite athlete persona to global audiences. If the public completely buys into this viral smear campaign that he is giving submissive, fluid, and overly delicate energy in his real life, it risks alienating the exact demographic the studios are spending $500 million to attract. This is precisely why Lori Harvey's threat of litigation from her bed in a face mask was a beautifully calculated piece of theatrical distraction. Think about the chess moves being played here. She goes online screaming about suing the media for creating false narratives, drawing every single headline toward her legal team and away from the actual, undeniable physical evidence of Damson moving on with 21-year-old fitness model Avari Lanai. The streets are saying that the litigation threat wasn't actually meant to stop the blogs. It was meant to give her camp enough legal cover to drop the ultimate tactical nuke on Damson's heartthrob brand. By shifting the entire conversation away from his romantic exit and focusing it heavily on his fluid mannerisms, his rhythmic Paris strides, and his delicate hand gestures, her team completely flipped the script. They successfully took a situation where Lori looked like she got replaced by a younger TikTok star, and turned it into a cultural referendum on Damson's entire baseline masculinity. The financial fallout behind the scenes of this narrative shift is rumored to be sending shockwaves through major fashion houses and film studios alike. Industry insiders are whispering that representatives from massive brands like Prada and Tommy Hilfiger, who have poured millions into establishing Damson as the face of their sophisticated menswear lines, are quietly monitoring the intense public backlash. In the hypersensitive landscape of global marketing, brands do not mind controversy, but they absolutely despise ridicule. The moment the internet collectively decides to transform an elite brand ambassador into a viral joke, claiming his high-fashion runway aesthetic is proof that he looks like a girl getting ready for prom rather than a dominant masculine icon, the corporate executives start panicking. There are whispers that marketing campaigns scheduled for late 2026 are already being quietly re-evaluated, because no luxury brand wants their comment sections flooded with thousands of people mocking their leading man for walking with a hip-heavy stride. But let's be completely real about the cultural damage this does to the concept of modern relationships in the entertainment industry. The immediate, aggressive reaction from the public proves that despite all the progressive talk about changing gender roles, society is still desperately clinging to old, rigid definitions of what a real man is supposed to look like. The fact that a classically trained actor cannot express fluid grace, appreciate avant-garde fashion, or show soft, gentle affection to his partner without being instantly labeled as on the down low or lacking alpha energy is absolutely wild. It creates an environment where male celebrities are forced to perform a caricature of toxic masculinity, just to keep the public and their high-profile partners satisfied. They have to walk like stone-cold criminals from an 80s movie, just to avoid being clowned by millions of people on the internet who are overanalyzing every single hand placement and head tilt. This entire saga brings us to the ultimate provocative conclusion that demands an answer from anyone who has been following this spectacular train wreck. Are we actually witnessing the real, unvarnished truth of a completely artificial PR contract that simply ran its course and imploded the moment the cameras stopped rolling? Or is this the terrifying reality of what happens when you cross the most powerful IT girl in the industry? Did Lori Harvey genuinely outgrow a partner whose soft, elegant energy didn't match her demanding lifestyle? Or is she actively executing a flawless, corporate-level revenge strategy to completely devalue Damson's masculine brand because he dared to step out in Los Angeles with a Vari Lanai on his arm? The narrative has been set, the pieces have been moved, and the entire entertainment world is forced to sit back and watch the absolute destruction of a Hollywood leading man's carefully curated image. Now, you already know the internet is never going to let this topic rest, and the comment sections are about to become an absolute battleground. I need to hear from every single one of you down below because this debate is too massive to ignore. Do you think Damson Idris is simply an evolved, secure, high-fashion icon who is completely ahead of his time? Or do you think the streets are right and his fluid body language completely exposed the reality behind that heavily staged Paris balcony kiss? Is Lori Harvey entirely justified for wiping her digital grid clean and threatening to unleash her lawyers on anyone spreading false narratives? Or did she completely stoop to a brand new low by allowing her circle to ruthlessly roast his masculinity, just to protect her own massive ego? Drop those thoughts in the comment section right now, make sure you smash that like button, hit subscribe to stay completely locked into the real truth, and I will catch you all in the next video. Girl, the comment section is already absolutely losing its mind over this, and you know the internet never stays quiet for long. This entire situation is too wild to just swipe past. So I need every single one of you to weigh in right now because the streets need answers. Is Damson Idris actually just an evolved, secure, high-fashion king who is completely ahead of the curve? Or do you think his fluid body language completely exposed the truth behind that heavily staged Paris balcony kiss? Did Lori Harvey totally stoop to a brand new low by allegedly letting her inner circle ruthlessly roast his masculinity just to protect her own massive ego? Or is she entirely justified for scrubbing her grid clean after he was spotted out with a Vari Lanai? I want to know exactly whose side you are on in this massive 2026 PR war, so drop those thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to absolutely smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on those notifications so you never miss out when the real truth drops. I'll see y'all in the next video.